80 squats only on the legs. 20 and 20. 20 and 20. Hold up.
Listen carefully, children. Matter is an envelope that seals the spirit at specific levels of awareness. Matter is an envelope that seals the spirit in to the flesh at specific levels of awareness. How light manipulates the envelope determines how the envelope is refined in order to expand it to allow the spirit to feel itself at higher and ever higher levels of awareness and consciousness. Check. Did you get what I just said? Follow me and stay with me, because it's going to get deeper. Once you get this perception in, your cells are now jumping around, saying, oh man, more. Feed. Oh, this is like ice cream. Feed me. Because when you start getting into the knowledge or the meal that is the self, you become insatiable. And then all of this physical bullshit don't mean nothing, because you no longer have what? The appetite for it. Okay? All right. How light manipulates the envelope, and I'm talking about sunlight, not this light. How light manipulates the envelope determines how the envelope is refined in order to expand that envelope to allow the spirit to feel itself. Remember I said his words, to feel itself at higher and ever higher levels of awareness and consciousness. To control the evolutionary advancement of the flesh, the spiritual advancement of man as well, one must seal and maintain the present envelope at its present level of self-awareness. Now, did you follow me when I said that? Because here's what is necessary to keep you in check. I'm going to repeat it now. To control the evolutionary advancement, that is the spiritual advancement and the spiritual awareness of man, one must seal and maintain the present envelope structure, which means the present perceptual matrix, the present, that's a window, this is a mic, this is a desk kind of scenario. But these are not what I just said. These are agreements based upon our agreement to perceive them as such. Remember I said that matter is a biphenomenal effect, and the only way matter becomes hard is through the agency of man's focus on that thing. Matter has two components. Matter has two personalities, a wave and a particle. But when man or when the human brain is not looking at the wave, at matter, at its highest level, it is a waveform. But when human mind, when human thought, when human perception focuses in on that wave, it becomes a particle. So it means that the human consciousness is necessary or is an integral part in how matter coalesces into what we call reality. Are you all with me now? Because I'm getting ready to take off, and if you can't stand the heights, just lay down and go to sleep a little bit. And I'm saying these things because when you understand how deep this is, when you understand the level that the beast is playing on, you now are at the field. You cross from him, football, definitely, one-to-one. And you the quarterback, you the front line, you the running back, you the pass receiver. You're everything. You're taking over the game now because you know how it's being played on you.
What's your credit card debt balance? If it's $10,000 or more, here are 3 easy solutions you can start implementing today.
Listing your house on the market isn't the only way to sell your house. Selling to us is much faster.
Played on you. So they must control the envelope at its present level of self-awareness. Now, how do they structure that awareness? Through your education system, through your television, through your entertainment, through church, definitely through church. They got you in light code lockdown, boy. They really got you believing that some white man came down, laid on a cross, and saved your asses. I was hearing them coming. Man, everywhere in Carolina I went, there was a church on every goddamn corner. On Sunday when I was down there on the lecture, they were driving me there. Wasn't not a nail black man or woman on the street. Everybody was in church getting their dose. Everybody was plugging in consciousness intravenously to the words of the preacher man. Sucking it in, just like you saw in the Matrix. They had my boy plugged in everywhere, feeding on his light. Now, in order to maintain the envelope of your awareness, in order to make you believe that this is who you are and this is all you are going to be, they have to dysfunction the blood. They have to dysfunction the blood because it is the blood that is the crystal that takes the light and refracts it. Takes it and specializes it, much like a prism does. When you look at white light, you take a prism and you put that prism, which is a crystal, up to that white light, boom, you get 7 different colors. Or the perception of 7 different wave bands. That's how consciousness works. It works to diffract what is inherent within the light into what you now see as those 7 colors. Those 7 colors become your awareness. Check. All right, now, stay with me. The light, your blood crystals refract the white light into what you see as consciousness. Now, a little preliminary information. The sun is your Pez dispenser. It dispenses the codes of consciousness in vectors of light. It is the sacrificial sun. What you see as the corona is the crown of thorns. You are essentially taking in light at specific frequencies and valences, refracting them through the temple, which is the crystallization of light. You are crystal light. And I don't mean that damn crystal stuff you just straight up there drinking. I'm talking about you are crystallized light. And you are diffracting concentrated light into the reality based upon the structure and design of the temple of God. How your blood is constituted says what level of light you can process. Ooh, I see the lights are going on in some of the brothers and sisters. I better get to my blood. Well, that's why they want your blood. That's why you see all these vampire movies coming out. He needs your blood. You need to find out what's in your blood that's going to keep you around and him not. There you go. Well, we're going to get to DNA. Oh, Miss DNA. Now, there are principles of energy. Listen carefully. Principles of energy, formed energy, powerful principles of energy. Principles of consciousness awareness that exist to create harmony for themselves through havoc to you. Check. It's the order of things. You can't blame them for it. Just like a leopard goes and hunts and kills the lamb. It's the order of things. You have higher evolutionary beings who you believe are supposed to be so sweet and loving and because now I know light. Hey, these motherfuckers know how to get shit done now on a whole other level. They've learned to manipulate light. They've learned to condense it and change it and use it and take it and do what they want to do with it. But by that very act alone, they've created their own ceiling. Because once you start pimping off somebody, once you start using somebody, once you start working off of somebody like these preachers do, like religion does, like government does, once you start pimping people, you have to keep them at that level so that they can remain your food source. So you have higher levels,
That's right.
higher beings that are of the lower order that have to maintain that order through making you their vegetable garden. So your whole consciousness envelope, your whole consciousness environment is being terraformed by these higher light beings who are actually on the lower strata once you get to know them. They look all fly. I mean, you know, they look bad. Somebody see a star walking down the street, you see Wesley Snipes. Go Wesley, go Wesley. You say, oh shit, Wesley Snipes. Hey, woo, what's happening? You all up in there, stars in your eyes and shit. That's the same way we would look at them. But they ain't no different than you. They just got up to the tower by doing all kind of shit making you believe that they're somehow different from you. But they have contained themselves by their actions. And they know that you have the ability to reach light speed. They know you can bypass this illusion that you are now functioning in. They know what your inheritance is, and they are about keeping you from getting it. Your havoc is their harmony. Check? All right. Listen carefully. Ignorance is a food source. Ignorance is a food source.
6 reasons you need to get your pet official ESA approved. With Support Pets, getting your 4-legged
Ignorance causes disturbances because of its random acts of chaos due to the lack of awareness of self. So by your very act, you create disturbances that would not have been there based on your ignorance. So by your acts of ignorance, the dynamics for their sustenance is made ready for them. And you are ignorant as hell. That's plan. Disturbances in the natural, ordered, and harmonic flow of light create peripheral or ambient frequencies from which these principles of consciousness, or these fallen lords, extract and receive their nourishment and sustenance. Let me say that again. Disturbances in the natural, ordered, and harmonic flow of light create peripheral or ambient frequencies from which these principles of consciousness extract or feed and receive their nourishment and sustenance. They are evil only in the sense that they cause us evil by our participation with them. Now, the idea behind evil is a concept based on the acculturation of behavior. What is good, we say this is good because for the mass and for the whole, we benefit. If you do a specific action, if you are participating in certain things and it creates something that's bad, then we say, okay, that's evil. It's a consensus. Because people who are evil, some of the nicest guys, some of the nicest people, evil as hell. But when you get to know them, they're like, hey, what's up? You know, good, yeah. Evil, evil, evil. But then, if you're looking at that, and you see them channeling that energy, and you get all caught up in, oh, he's evil. Get thee behind me, Satan. And all pontification. You don't understand how evil you're becoming by putting up all that bullshit, because you just now saying, I'm going to be the sword of justice for Jesus and all this shit. And you just become just as evil as the bastard you fall in the mud with somebody and not get dirty your damn self. How the hell these preachers telling me some shit about they going to fight Satan? They're going to fight Satan. You got to be Satan. You got to know Satan. I want to know everybody that this white man don't want us to know. I want to know more and more about Lucifer. Not from what they're telling you. Because ignorance is a food source. Most most people or most entities that you call evil are actually acting upon self-preservation and are based on survival imperatives that were cultivated some billions of eons ago. We get trapped by them through our lack of instinctive self-awareness that the mind and the spirit inherits through a continual refinement of the corporeal envelope. Let me then say that again so that you'd understand it. We get trapped by these entities who feed from our ignorance, who feed from us, through our own lack of instinctive self-awareness. Our own lack of instinctive self-awareness that the mind and the spirit is supposed to inherit through a continual refinement of the corporeal envelope. So the more you live, the more you should know. The longer you live, the more you're supposed to know. You ain't supposed to be stupid at 50. And Lord knows that's when you get real dumb. You get real scared and stupid and go run into church. You start running to look for Jesus after you get that first pain in your back. Oh, it's coming close to the end. Heart attack and motherfuckers just catch Jesus and say, Lord, yeah, you came to Jesus. Because that's the only out they're going to give you, is to come to Jesus. We become trapped by the envelope through the chromosomes, which contain the DNA and the genes. Now, here's where we're going to start getting heavy. The chromosome is the DNA-containing linear body of the cell nuclei, responsible for the determination and transmission of hereditary characteristics. See, that's the clinical definition. And that's what they want you to think. That's all it is. Let me repeat that. The chromosome is the DNA-containing linear body. Linear means straight. Of the cell nuclei responsible for the determination and transmission of hereditary characteristics. Now, the chromosome then must have all of the information of the ancestors locked into it. This is why this devil, this geneticist, who is the new Gnostic, the geneticist is the new Gnostic. He now has the ability to get into the library of your experience and start picking out what he wants of the information and start playing inside of who you are. Not who you want to be or who you are, so that he will make you who he wants you to be.
Have your home's heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical systems ever asked you if now is a good time to break down?
It's like that movie Assassin's Creed.
Now let's drop about a gene. A gene is a functional hereditary unit. It is a functional hereditary unit that occupies a fixed location on the chromosome. It occupies, carefully listen now, a fixed location on the chromosome. It has a specific influence on phenotype or a group, and is capable of mutation. Now you'll understand why the gene can change and what that has to do with you and mind control. Now, listen very carefully. There is something around the sun called the chromosphere. The chromosphere. Now, the chromosphere of the sun is made up of primarily hydrogen. Check the connection now. It is several thousand miles in depth and lies separate and above the photosphere, which it surrounds. Okay? The chromatosphere surrounds the photosphere and is distinct and separate from the corona, or the crown of thorns. Listen carefully. The DNA, I'm putting all the little definitions in before we get to it. The DNA is a polymer, or something of a high molecular weight. That's what a polymer means. Something that has a high density and molecular weight, with millions of repeated linked units. The DNA is a polymer of the chromosome consisting of two long chains of alternating phosphate and deoxyribose units, twisted into a double helix and joined by hydrogen bonds between the complementary bases adenine and thymine, or cytosine and guanine. Now let me go back to what I'm saying and how it connects with the chromosphere of the sun. Go back to the top. The chromosphere of the sun is made up of primarily hydrogen. This is why I needed the blackboard. The chromosphere is made up primarily of hydrogen. All right? It is several thousand miles thick and lies separate and above the photosphere. Photo meaning the light sphere, the part that you can see, which it surrounds. Now the DNA has a alternating phosphate and deoxyribose units, linear, that is twisted into a double helix and joined together by hydrogen. Now, I said that to say that the so-called chromatosphere or chromosphere of the sun and the chromosomes of the cell, are you checking me? The chromosome of the cells are your inner sun. Remember, the cells are your internal little suns. You have whole solar systems that are cells. The chromosome and the chromosphere are together and are synergistically linked through the activity of the DNA. So the sun and you are intermittently connected through the DNA. Your chromosomes and the chromosphere, hydrogen bonds in the chromosomes, hydrogen is as the majority, thousands of miles thick around the sun, there is a connection. You are being beamed information through the hydrogen, the chromosphere of the sun is connecting to the hydrogen coupling bonds in your DNA and giving it instructions to change. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be giving you instructions to grow a third helix at this present time. But because you are in light code lockdown and because they are polluting the atmosphere so that they filter out the instructions from the chromosphere to your chromosomes, you're the one that's getting all, you might as well be back knuckle dragging at the ape. You are being regressed purposefully to keep you as a food source for light.
How to swiftly emerge from a rapidly sinking car in just a matter of seconds. A fatal construction flaw in all recent automobiles makes it virtually impossible to escape the car after crashing into water. This ingenious innovation elevates your odds of survival to an astonishing.
The DNA represents a fixed projection of light as consciousness. The DNA represents a fixed projection of light as consciousness. As light travels through the ever-increasing density of matter, it begins to spiral in relationship to the elements that it gathers. Let me say that again. As light travels through the ever-increasing density of matter, it begins to spiral. It doesn't go into a straight line. It spirals. That's why when you look at the electrical line inside of here, it's twisted. Because all things, once it gets to this level, light travels, everything travels, atomics, everything travels in spirals. All energy travels in spirals. So, what constitutes your DNA is the coagulation of these elementals, these primordial archetypal elementals that are now coalescing around the design of the intelligent mind to become you, man. So the DNA is essentially just following the instructions of universal mind to condense you into man, to God as man. Now, all of this is coming to be because now you're going to see what they have to do in order to interrupt and mess with who you are. Because the old forms of mind control don't work too tough no more. Evidence. Y'all ain't sucking on a neck bone. The denser the elements themselves fix light through the densification of atoms. The elements fix light. Okay? They fix this light through the densification of atoms who behave according to how many elementals and atoms join together. So the more compact, the more constricted these atoms and these elements work together, the more density of light you have. And the more awareness you can actually encompass, and the more manipulation of these atoms you can do through your mind. Because that's the secret. Manipulating structure, manipulating the DNA helix, manipulating the hydrogen connection, so that you now begin to give instructions based upon your awareness, not through what they're telling you. Higher awareness, it must grow now. You must get deep into metaphysics at this time to save your life. This is not just about you saying, well, I'll study in school and we'll take this, and I may even take a little something of metaphysics. Bullshit. You gotta have to put everything aside and study metaphysics now, because that's how they're coming at you. They're coming at you through the metaphysical tip. The denser or more compact the atoms, the greater the concentration of light. If you manipulate the atmosphere or ionosphere, ion is the name of John. That's why the book of John had nothing to do with no people. The book of John, if you notice, the four gospels, the first three are called the synoptic gospels, which mean they're just synapse. They're just compilation, real put together. Most of them are all put together. They're pretty much the same. But the last one of John don't seem to start off like anything else. All right? John is not actually a person. It was based upon ionosphere, ion being a dynamic of radiation, a dynamic of light. So John, if you look at the word J, it was no J, it was I-O-N. John, the book of John, is telling you in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And if you understood what the Word was and how they're using the Word to manipulate your DNA, the Word through frequencies. Because remember, the Word is a frequency. So they're playing with the Word so that your words come out the way they want you to say it. They come out the way they want you to think it. The manipulation of the Word through frequencies. The Word is a frequency. When I'm talking to you on a band based upon frequency transference. From here to here, to here, to there. It's about bouncing energies back and forth through sound frequencies. Well, they've learned to take the Word and to use it for evil. To bypass your ability to filter the Word into consciousness and put in this instructions to make you still think that you're an animal, to keep you on the lower fields of awareness. If you manipulate the atmosphere or the ionosphere of our planet, you interface with the hydrogen source or higher nutritional base of light in the DNA. I don't know where I was when I said that. Let me repeat it.
Say goodbye to old costly cable TV once and for all. This revolutionary invention gives you access to your favorite channels and movies completely free of charge. Greedy cable corporations are trying their best to outlaw it. The device, surpassing standard cable companies in channel offerings and HD quality, deploys cutting-edge chip technology to capture satellite TV signals. It gives access to content across all major media platforms, eliminating the need for expensive contracts or monthly subscriptions, making traditional cable providers a thing of the past. Setting up this invention is a breeze.
If you repeat, somebody bring me back down. I need to take a sip. You know, as I tell you, boy, you want a high? You really want a high? Get into metaphysics. Because once you start coming into self-realization, you start losing, things start moving and churning. Let me put that back to you again. If you manipulate the atmosphere or the ionosphere of our planet, you interfere with the hydrogen source or the higher nutritional base of light for the DNA. The hydrogen anchors, and I use that word, anchors, between the complementary bases that project towards the axis of the helix. Now, the word helix comes from the word helio, which means hello. These things aren't named by accident. Now, the hydrogen anchors between And these little ladder, Jacob's ladder, connecting it all the way through. Okay?
It's 5
Hydrogen
levels.
anchors, and you